What if one decision changed everything? What if the most feared Jedi Master stepped forward to train the galaxy's most dangerous Padawan? This is the story of how Mace Windu training Anakin Skywalker prevented the rise of Darth Vader, stopped Order 66, and saved the galaxy from 1,000 years of darkness. The moment Qui-Gon Jinn falls to Darth Maul's blade, fate hangs in the balance. In our timeline, Obi-Wan promises to train the boy. But what if someone else stepped forward instead? Someone who understood darkness intimately. Someone who could teach Anakin to channel his rage into justice rather than let it consume him. The generator complex on Naboo echoes with the hum of deadly energy. Red and green lightsabers clash in a dance of life and death as Qui-Gon Jinn faces the Sith Lord Darth Maul. The Jedi Master's blade moves with practiced grace, but his opponent's ferocity is overwhelming. Time seems to slow as the crimson saber pierces through Qui-Gon's chest, and the wise Jedi crumples to the cold metal floor. Obi-Wan Kenobi screams in anguish from behind the laser barrier, watching helplessly as his master falls. When the barriers finally deactivate, he launches himself at Maul with fury that would have concerned any Jedi watching. The duel is brief but intense, ending with the Sith Lord bisected and falling into the reactor shaft. But victory feels hollow as Obi-Wan cradles his dying master. "Promise me," Qui-Gon gasps, his hand gripping Obi-Wan's robes with fading strength. "You will train the boy. He is the chosen one. He will bring balance to the Force." His eyes find Obi-Wan's, desperate and pleading. "Train him." The promise is made with tears streaming down the young knight's face. But fate has other plans. 3 days later, on the funeral pyre's fading embers, the real decisions are made. The great hall of the Naboo Palace buzzes with celebration. But in a quiet corner, the Jedi Council has convened an emergency session. The holographic forms of the Masters shimmer in the dim light as they debate the boy's future. Obi-Wan Kenobi has agreed to train the boy, Yoda announces, his ancient voice carrying the weight of centuries. "Honor Qui-Gon's final wish, we must." But Mace Windu stands apart from the others, his dark features etched with concern. He has been silent throughout the celebration, his mind wrestling with doubts that have plagued him since first meeting the boy. Now, as the Council prepares to ratify Obi-Wan's acceptance of Anakin as his Padawan, Mace speaks. "No," the single word cuts through the discussion like a vibroblade. Every holographic head turns toward him, surprise evident even in their flickering forms. "Master Windu." Ki-Adi-Mundi's voice carries confusion. "You object to honoring Qui-Gon's final request." Mace's jaw tightens as he considers his words carefully. "I object to setting up both the boy and Obi-Wan for failure." Kenobi is barely a knight himself, elevated to that rank mere hours ago in a ceremony of necessity. Training any Padawan would challenge him, but training the supposed chosen one? He shakes his head grimly. We would be asking him to guide a power beyond his understanding, with experience he does not yet possess. Obi-Wan's hologram flickers as he processes this unexpected challenge. "Master Windu, I gave my word to Qui-Gon. I cannot abandon that promise, and I do not ask you to abandon it." Mace replies, his tone softening slightly. "I ask you to honor it in the way most likely to succeed." Qui-Gon believed in the boy's destiny. I will not let inexperience jeopardize that destiny, no matter how well-intentioned. The silence that follows is heavy with implication. Finally, Yoda speaks, his Geimer stick tapping against the floor. "Propose what? Do you, Master Windu?" Mace takes a deep breath, knowing that his next words will change everything. "I propose that I train the boy myself." The reaction is immediate and intense. Several council members begin speaking at once, their voices overlapping in concern and surprise. "Your methods are unconventional, Mace," Plo Koon observes diplomatically. "Unconventional?" Depabiyaba, Mace's own former Padawan, sounds genuinely worried. "Master, Varpard training requires a delicate balance." The boy already shows signs of fear and anger. Teaching him to channel aggression could push him toward the darkness you seek to control. Ki-Adi-Mundi nods in agreement. The seventh form is dangerous enough for experienced Jedi. For a child with such raw power and emotional instability. Exactly why he needs proper guidance, Mace interrupts, his voice carrying the authority that has made him one of the most respected members of the Council. "Look at what we know about this boy. Incredible power, yes, but coupled with deep emotional wounds. Fear of abandonment from his years in slavery, anger at the injustices he's witnessed, love for his mother that borders on attachment." He begins to pace, his hands clasped behind his back as he organizes his thoughts. The traditional Jedi approach would be to suppress these emotions, to teach him that feeling leads to suffering. But suppression is not mastery. It is avoidance. And what we avoid in ourselves, we cannot control. Yoda's ears perk up with interest. "Speak more of this, you should. Varpard teaches us to look into the darkness without being consumed by it." Mace explains, stopping his pacing to face the assembled masters. It requires absolute honesty about one's own capacity for darkness, and the discipline to channel that darkness in service of the light. The boy has darkness in him. We all sense it. But rather than pretending it doesn't exist, I would teach him to acknowledge it, understand it, and use it as a tool for justice. Even masters disagree quietly among themselves. Saci Tian expresses concern about the risks, while Coleman Trebor questions whether any Padawan so young could handle such advanced training. But Yoda strokes his chin thoughtfully, his ancient eyes studying Mace with renewed interest. Always in motion. The future is, the Grand Master muses. But sense something in this proposal, I do. Dangerous. Yes, but perhaps necessary. He looks directly at Mace. Ready for such responsibility, are you? Train the chosen one. No small task it is. For the first time since making his proposal, Mace hesitates. He thinks of his own long journey to Master Varpard. The years of meditation and self-examination required to walk the line between light and dark without falling. Can he teach such discipline to a 9-year-old boy? Can he guide Anakin through the emotional minefield of his traumatic past, while preparing him for a destiny none of them fully understand? "I am ready," he says finally, and the certainty in his voice surprises even him. Qui-Gon died, believing in this boy's potential. I will not let that faith be wasted. The vote, when it comes, is closer than anyone expected. Several masters abstain, uncomfortable with either option. But in the end, the Council's trust in Mace Windu's wisdom and strength carries the day. The decision is made. Obi-Wan's reaction to the news is complex. Relief wars with disappointment as he realizes he will not be training his master's final discovery. But there is also concern for Anakin himself. "Will you tell him?" he asks Mace privately after the council session ends. "We will tell him together," Mace replies. He trusts you, and this transition will be difficult enough without him feeling abandoned by the first Jedi who showed him kindness. They find Anakin in the palace gardens, sitting alone on a bench and staring at the stars. The boy has been largely ignored during the celebration, lost in the political maneuvering of adults. When he sees the two Jedi approaching, he straightens hopefully. "Master Obi-Wan, are we leaving for the temple soon? When do we start my training?" Obi-Wan sits beside him, choosing his words carefully. "Anakin, your training will begin soon, but there's been a change in plans." He glances at Mace, who nods encouragingly. "I will not be your master." The boy's face falls, and for a moment, the hurt in his eyes is almost unbearable. "But you promised Master Qui-Gon. You said you would train me, and that promise will be kept." Mace interjects, his voice gentler than usual. "But by someone better equipped to guide you. I will be your master, Anakin." Anakin looks between the two Jedi, confusion evident in his young features. "But I don't understand. Did I do something wrong? Master Qui-Gon said I should be trained by Obi-Wan." Mace kneels down to meet the boy's eyes, his expression serious but kind. "Master Qui-Gon wanted you to receive the best training possible. Sometimes that means making difficult choices. Obi-Wan is a fine Jedi, but he is also very young. Your power is extraordinary, Anakin, and extraordinary power requires extraordinary guidance. You're stronger than Obi-Wan?" Anakin asks, with the directness of childhood. "Different," Mace corrects. "I have experience with complicated students. Students who feel things deeply and struggle with traditional Jedi teachings. I believe I can help you in ways that others might not be able to." Obi-Wan places a reassuring hand on Anakin's shoulder. "This doesn't mean I'm abandoning you, Anakin. I'll still be at the temple, and we'll see each other often. But Master Windu is right. He's the best choice to be your teacher." That night, as Anakin lies in his guest quarters trying to process this new development, he finds himself both excited and terrified. Master Windu seems so serious, so intense, nothing like the warm grandfather figure Qui-Gon had been, or the big brother energy he'd sensed from Obi-Wan. But there had been something in the stern Jedi's eyes when he spoke about complicated students. Something that suggested he might actually understand what it felt like to be different. The journey to Coruscant takes 3 days. And during that time, Mace begins Anakin's education in earnest. But his approach is immediately different from what the boy expects. "Tell me about your fear," Mace says as they sit in the transport's meditation chamber. Anakin shifts uncomfortably. "Master Qui-Gon said fear leads to the dark side." "Fear can lead to the dark side," Mace corrects. "But fear itself is not evil. It is information. It tells us when we are in danger, when we need to be careful, when we are stepping into the unknown. Only when we let fear control our actions does it become dangerous." He activates his lightsaber, and Anakin gasps as the unique purple blade springs to life. "Have you ever seen a lightsaber this color before?" Anakin shakes his head, mesmerized by the weapon's unusual hue. This crystal chose me because I walk a different path than most Jedi, Mace explains. Purple represents the balance between red and blue, between passion and peace, between the light side and the understanding of darkness. I developed a lightsaber form called Varpad, which uses controlled aggression and channels dark emotions in service of the light. You use the dark side? Anakin asks, his eyes wide. I use the knowledge of darkness, Mace clarifies. There is a difference. To defeat an enemy, you must understand how they think, how they fight, what drives them. But understanding something is not the same as becoming it. I have looked into the darkness without being consumed by it, and that is what I will teach you to do. Anakin processes this slowly. Other Jedi think feelings are bad. Other Jedi fear feelings because feelings can cloud judgment, Mace replies. But feelings also provide information and motivation. The key is learning to feel without being controlled by those feelings, to act from a place of wisdom rather than reaction. As they continue their journey, Mace introduces Anakin to meditation techniques, unlike anything he's heard of before. Instead of emptying his mind, Mace teaches him to examine his thoughts and emotions with clinical detachment. Feel your anger about leaving your mother, Mace instructs during one session. Don't push it away. Don't judge it. Simply observe it. Where do you feel it in your body? What thoughts does it bring? What does it want you to do? It makes my chest tight, Anakin says slowly, his eyes closed in concentration. It makes me want to go back and get her. It makes me hate the Council for making me choose. Good. Now, what would acting on that anger accomplish? Anakin thinks for a long moment. If I went back now, I wouldn't be strong enough to free her. I'd just be a runaway slave again. Exactly. Your anger has given you valuable information. It's telling you that someone you love is in danger and that the current situation is unjust. But anger without a plan is just destruction. Anger with purpose becomes determination. Your anger can motivate you to become strong enough to return and free not just your mother, but all the slaves on Tatooine. This revelation hits Anakin like a lightning bolt. For the first time, his emotions don't feel like a burden to be hidden, but like tools to be understood and directed. Their arrival at the Jedi Temple creates quite a stir. Word of the Council's unusual decision has spread, and many Jedi watch with curiosity as Mace Windu leads his new Padawan through the halls. Some nod approvingly, trusting in Mace's wisdom. Others whisper concerns about whether such an unconventional approach is wise. Anakin's first night in the temple is difficult. The Padawan quarters feel cold and sterile compared to his mother's warm embrace, or even the guest quarters on Naboo. When Mace finds him sitting by his window at dawn, staring out at the endless cityscape of Coruscant, he doesn't offer empty platitudes about letting go of attachment. Missing home is natural, Mace says, settling into a chair across from the boy. The question is, what you do with that feeling? Do you let it make you bitter and resentful? Or do you let it remind you why your training matters? I promised Mom I'd come back for her, Anakin says quietly. And you will, Mace replies, surprising the boy. But you'll return as a Jedi with the power and authority to make a real difference. That means being patient now so you can be effective later. This practical approach to attachment resonates with Anakin in a way that abstract lectures about letting go never could. Over the following weeks, as his formal training begins, he throws himself into his studies with newfound purpose. The training salas of the Jedi Temple have never seen anything quite like Mace Windu's approach to teaching. While other masters focus on form and technique, Mace begins with philosophy and self-awareness. Before you can wield a lightsaber effectively, you must understand the weapon that is yourself, he tells Anakin during their first formal lesson. A lightsaber is an extension of its wielder. If the wielder is unbalanced, the weapon will be unbalanced. He hands Anakin a training saber, its blade set to the lowest power setting. Form I, Shi Cho, is called the Way of the Sarlacc for good reason. It is simple, fundamental, and nearly impossible to escape once you're caught in it. But simplicity does not mean easy. Show me the basic strikes. Anakin runs through the elementary sequences he learned from Qui-Gon, his movements eager but unrefined. Mace watches silently, cataloging every tell, every moment where emotion affects technique. Again, he says when Anakin finishes. But this time, I want you to feel angry. Master, think about something that makes you angry. The slave traders who owned you, perhaps. Or the fact that your mother is still in bondage while you train in luxury. Feel that anger. But don't let it control your movements. Anakin hesitates, then closes his eyes briefly. When he opens them, there's fire there. He begins the sequence again, and immediately, Mace sees the difference. The boy's strikes are faster, more forceful, but also more erratic. Stop! Mace's voice cuts through Anakin's aggressive rhythm. What did you notice? I was stronger, Anakin says, breathing hard. You were more powerful, Mace corrects. But were you more effective? Your third strike left you overextended. Your fifth would have allowed an enemy to slip inside your guard. Power without control is not strength, it's liability. They spend the next hour working on that same sequence, with Mace teaching Anakin to maintain his emotional intensity while keeping his technique precise. It's exhausting work, requiring a level of self-awareness that most Padawans don't develop for years. The goal is not to eliminate your emotions, Mace explains, as they rest between exercises. The goal is to be fully aware of them while maintaining conscious control of your actions. In Varpad, we call this riding the storm. You feel the full force of your emotions, but you direct where they take you. Word of these unorthodox training methods reaches the council, and not all the reactions are positive. During a meeting of the senior masters, concerns are raised about Mace's approach. Teaching a Padawan to intentionally invoke anger seems problematic. Even PL observes, his scarred features creased with worry. Traditional methods have their place, Mace acknowledges. But this is not a traditional student. Anakin's power is unprecedented, and his emotional wounds run deep. Telling him to simply suppress his feelings would be like putting a tourniquet on a severed artery. It might stop the bleeding temporarily, but it doesn't heal the wound. Yoda nods slowly. Wisdom, in your words, there is, but dangerous. This path remains. Watch carefully. We must. The danger becomes apparent during Anakin's third week of training. While practicing advanced form-wise sequences, His concentration slips, and anger takes over completely. His training saber moves in wild arcs, no longer following any recognizable pattern. For a moment, his eyes flash with something dark and hungry. Mace doesn't hesitate. His own lightsaber ignites, purple blade intercepting Anakin's wild swings with surgical precision. The clash of energy brings Anakin back to himself, and he staggers backward, horrified by what just happened. "I'm sorry, Master. I lost control. I felt something dark, and it felt good." Rather than punishment or lecture, Mace nods calmly. "Good. You've identified the danger." That feeling of dark power is seductive because it offers easy solutions to difficult problems. It whispers that strength alone can solve everything. But strength without wisdom is tyranny, and tyranny always destroys what it claims to protect. He deactivates his lightsaber and sits cross-legged on the training mat, gesturing for Anakin to join him. "Tell me what you felt in that moment." "Power," Anakin admits reluctantly. "Like I could do anything, beat anyone. Like all my problems would disappear if I was just strong enough." "And where did that feeling want to take you?" Anakin thinks carefully. "It wanted me to keep going, to not hold back, to hurt you because you were in my way." Exactly. The dark side offers power, but at the cost of connection. It tells you that others are obstacles to be overcome rather than people to be protected. Remember this feeling, Anakin. Remember how seductive it was and how it wanted you to hurt someone you care about. This is what we guard against. This brush with darkness becomes a turning point in Anakin's training. Rather than being discouraged, he becomes more determined to master the balance Mace teaches. He begins to understand that his emotions aren't the enemy, his lack of awareness and control over them is. The training intensifies as months pass. Mace introduces Anakin to increasingly complex scenarios designed to test his emotional control under stress. Mock duels where he must protect innocence while fighting multiple opponents. Negotiations where he must remain calm while hearing arguments that enrage him. Meditation exercises where he deliberately invokes painful memories and then finds peace within the storm. The Jedi Code says there is no emotion, there is peace. Mace explains during one such session. But this is often misunderstood. It doesn't mean emotions don't exist. It means that even in the midst of strong emotions, we can find a center of peace from which to act wisely. Anakin's progress astounds even Mace. The boy's natural talent combined with his intense motivation creates a learning curve unlike anything the Jedi Master has seen. Within 6 months, Anakin is performing lightsaber techniques that usually take Padawans years to master. More importantly, he's developing the emotional intelligence to use those techniques responsibly. Other masters begin to take notice. During a demonstration for the Council, Anakin spars against 3 training remotes simultaneously, while maintaining a running conversation about Jedi philosophy. His blade moves in flowing arcs that deflect every blast, while his voice remains calm and thoughtful. "Impressive," Obi-Wan observes, watching from the gallery. He's advanced further in 6 months than some Padawans do in 2 years. Advancement in technique is not the same as wisdom, Ki-Adi-Mundi cautions. The boy shows great skill, but has he truly mastered his emotions? As if to answer the question, one of the training remotes malfunctions, and fires a blast at full power. Anakin's response is instantaneous, his lightsaber intercepting the bolt and redirecting it safely into the wall. But more importantly, there's no fear in his reaction, no anger at the near miss, just calm competence. The real test comes when Anakin turns 13 and the Clone Wars begin. The first battle of Geonosis unfolds differently, with Anakin Skywalker arriving as Mace Windu's well-trained Padawan rather than an impetuous boy struggling with his first real lightsaber. As their Republic gunship approaches the arena where hundreds of Jedi are fighting for their lives, Mace shares final words of wisdom with his student. War brings out the extremes in people, Anakin. You will see courage and cowardice, nobility and cruelty, often in the same person. The Force will be in constant flux around you, fed by the intense emotions of thousands of combatants. Stay centered, remember your training, and protect those who cannot protect themselves. Yes, Master, Anakin replies, but Mace can sense the excitement and fear warring within his Padawan. Feel what you're feeling, Mace adds gently. Acknowledge the fear, the excitement, the anger at seeing our friends in danger. But don't let those feelings choose your actions. You choose. When their gunship enters the arena, the sight that greets them is chaos. Jedi are scattered across the sand, their lightsabers blazing as they fight off waves of battle droids. Many have already fallen, their bodies still and silent in the dust. Anakin's first instinct is rage at seeing his fellow Jedi struck down, but Mace's training kicks in. I feel anger at this waste of life, Anakin says quietly, his hand moving to his lightsaber. But anger with purpose becomes determination. I will fight to protect the survivors, not to seek revenge for the fallen. Mace nods approvingly as they leap from the gunship into the fray. Stay close, but not too close. We fight as a team, but you must be free to act as the situation demands. The battle that follows showcases everything Anakin has learned about channeling emotion into effective action. His lightsaber work is aggressive but controlled, each strike purposeful rather than wild. When he sees Jedi Master Coleman Trebor fall to the Separatist leader's blasters, his pain and anger fuel his determination to protect others, not a quest for vengeance. Master Shaak Ti is pinned down by those destroyers. Anakin calls out, spotting the Togruta Jedi struggling against a squad of B-2 super battle droids. Go, Mace replies, his own blade carving through a swarm of regular battle droids. I'll cover your approach. Anakin moves like liquid lightning across the arena floor, his training in emotional control allowing him to remain focused despite the chaos around him. When a stray blaster bolt nearly takes his head off, he doesn't flinch or react with anger. Instead, he adjusts his approach, using the fallen bodies of droids as cover, while he flanks the super battle droids, threatening Master T. His attack comes from their blind spot, blue lightsaber moving in precise arcs that disable their weapon systems before they can react. Within moments, the threat is neutralized, and Shaak Ti nods her gratitude before moving to help other beleaguered Jedi. Well done. Mace's voice comes through the comm as Anakin rejoins his master. You saw a need and filled it without seeking glory or acting recklessly. But the real test comes when the clone troopers arrive. and the battle shifts to the larger conflict beyond the arena. As Republic gunships strafe the Separatist positions, Anakin spots something that makes his blood run cold. A group of Geonosian civilians, including children, caught in the crossfire between clone troopers and Separatist forces. "Master, civilians in danger, Sector 7, he reports immediately. Mace follows his gaze and sees the same thing. Protocol says we continue with the primary mission. The civilians are not our responsibility. Protocol. Anakin begins, then stops himself. This is a test, he realizes. Mace is presenting him with the same choice that separates true Jedi from mere warriors. Protocol serves the greater good. But sometimes the greater good requires us to save the lives in front of us, not just complete the mission. Then go, Mace says with pride in his voice. I'll handle the tactical droid. You handle the civilians. Anakin's rescue of the Geonosian civilians becomes a defining moment of the battle. Using his training in emotional control, he approaches the terrified aliens not as a warrior, but as a protector. His calm presence and gentle use of the Force to shield them from falling debris earns their trust enough that they follow him to safety. When a clone trooper questions his priorities, Anakin's response reflects years of Mace's teaching. We're not just fighting to win a war, we're fighting to preserve what makes the Republic worth defending. If we ignore innocents in danger, what are we really protecting? The evacuation succeeds, and word of the young Padawan who risked his mission to save enemy civilians spreads throughout the clone ranks. It's the beginning of a reputation that will serve Anakin well throughout the war. As the Battle of Geonosis winds down and the Clone Wars officially begin, Mace and Anakin find themselves assigned to the front lines. The Council recognizes that their unique partnership and Anakin's growing skills make them ideal for the most challenging missions. Their first major campaign takes them to Christophsis, where Separatist forces have occupied the Crystal Planet and enslaved its population. The mission is supposed to be a straightforward liberation, but intelligence failures leave the Republic forces walking into a trap. Master, something feels wrong, Anakin says as their transport approaches the planet. The Force feels clouded here. Mace closes his eyes, extending his senses. You're right. There's deception at work. Our intelligence may be compromised. When they arrive in the system, they find the Separatist fleet larger than expected and positioned to catch the Republic forces in a crossfire. The ensuing space battle is brutal, with several Republic cruisers taking heavy damage before Admiral Yularen can adjust tactics. We need to get to the surface and establish contact with the Resistance, Mace decides. But the landing zones are all heavily defended. Not all of them, Anakin says, studying the tactical display. The crystal quarries in the northern hemisphere. The terrain makes it impossible to land large ships, but a small strike force could get through and then march 300 kilometers through hostile territory to reach the capital. Better than landing in the middle of a Separatist army, Anakin points out. Besides, the quarries are where most of the enslaved workers are. We could free them and gain local intelligence at the same time. Mace considers this, recognizing his own tactical thinking reflected in his Padawan's proposal. Very well, we'll take a small team and infiltrate through the quarries. But this mission requires absolute discipline. The civilian workers' safety is paramount. The infiltration mission showcases how much Anakin has grown under Mace's tutelage. Instead of charging in with lightsabers blazing, they use stealth and careful planning to disable the Separatist guards without alerting the main force. Anakin's ability to sense the emotional states of both enemies and civilians proves invaluable in navigating the complex situation. "The workers are terrified," he reports to Mace as they move through the quarry tunnels. "But there's hope there too. They want to fight back. They just don't know how." "Then we give them the tools and training they need," Mace replies. "Revolution is more effective than rescue when it comes to lasting change." Over the next several days, Anakin finds himself in an unusual role. Part Jedi warrior, part resistance organizer, part teacher. He works with the freed Christophsian workers to plan coordinated strikes against Separatist infrastructure, while Mace coordinates with Republic forces for a larger assault. The experience teaches Anakin valuable lessons about leadership that go beyond lightsaber combat. When disagreements arise among the resistance leaders about tactics, he must mediate without taking sides. When some workers advocate for revenge against collaborators, he must find ways to channel their anger into constructive action. Remember, Mace counsels him during one particularly difficult negotiation. Power over others is not the same as power with others. A true Jedi leads by inspiring people to be their best selves, not by forcing them to obey. The lesson proves prophetic when Anakin encounters a young Christophsian boy whose family was killed by Separatist forces. The child's rage and desire for revenge mirror Anakin's own feelings about slavery and the injustices he's witnessed. "I want to make them pay," the boy says, his small hands clenched into fists. "I want to hurt them like they hurt me." Anakin kneels down to meet the child's eyes, seeing himself at 9 years old, angry and afraid, and desperate for someone to understand. "I know that feeling," he says gently. "I've felt that same anger. But let me ask you something. If you spend all your energy on revenge, who's going to help rebuild what they destroyed?" "I don't care about rebuilding," the boy sobs. "I just want them gone, and they will be gone," Anakin promises. "But after they're gone, your people will need leaders who understand both justice and mercy. They'll need people who remember what it feels like to suffer, but choose to prevent others from suffering the same way." It's a conversation that changes both of them. The boy begins to channel his anger into learning how to help his community heal, while Anakin gains a deeper understanding of how his own painful past can become a source of wisdom rather than just fuel for rage. The Battle of Christophsis culminates in a coordinated assault that combines Republic military might with indigenous resistance. Anakin leads the civilian fighters in a series of precision strikes that disable key Separatist installations, while Mace coordinates the overall strategy with Admiral Yularen's fleet. The boy has exceeded every expectation, Yularen comments to Mace as they watch Anakin's team successfully sabotage a Separatist communications relay. "He fights like a veteran but thinks like a diplomat. He's learned to use his whole self as a weapon," Mace replies with pride. His power, his intelligence, his empathy, even his anger, all in service of protecting others. The victory on Christophsis brings Anakin to the attention of the broader Republic leadership, but it also marks the beginning of his interactions with Chancellor Palpatine. The politician's interest in the young Jedi is immediate and intense, but Anakin's response is very different from what it might have been under different training. "I've heard remarkable things about your exploits, young Skywalker," Palpatine says during their first meeting after Christophsis. Such power and wisdom in one so young. The Jedi Order is fortunate to have you. Thank you, Chancellor, Anakin replies politely. But I'm fortunate to have the Jedi Order. My master has taught me that individual achievement means nothing without the support and guidance of others. Palpatine's smile doesn't waver, but Mace, observing from nearby, notes the slight tension around the Chancellor's eyes. This is not the response the politician expected. Still, surely you feel that your contributions deserve greater recognition? Perhaps a seat on the Jedi Council, despite your youth? The council seats belong to those with the wisdom to use them properly, Anakin says, unconsciously echoing one of Mace's frequent lessons. I have much to learn before I could serve the Order in that capacity. The meeting continues pleasantly enough. But afterward, Mace takes Anakin aside for a private conversation. What did you think of the Chancellor? He asks carefully. Anakin considers the question thoughtfully. He was very flattering, almost too flattering. He seemed more interested in what I could do for him than in what was best for the Republic. Explain. He kept talking about my power, my potential, how I deserved more recognition, but he never asked about the mission objectives, or the civilians we helped, or how we could improve our tactics for next time. It felt like he was trying to make me feel special rather than trying to learn anything useful. Mace nods approvingly. Your instincts are sharp. Politicians often seek to cultivate relationships with powerful individuals, not always for the purest motives. Be polite but cautious in your dealings with the Chancellor. This early warning proves crucial as Palpatine's manipulation attempts intensify over the following months. But each time the Chancellor tries to isolate Anakin from the Jedi Council or plant seeds of doubt about their methods, he finds a young man who has been thoroughly prepared for such tactics. The Council holds you back, Palpatine suggests during one of their regular meetings. They fear your power because it exceeds their own. Under different guidance, you could achieve so much more. Master Windu has taught me that true power comes from restraint and wisdom. Anakin responds calmly. Anyone can destroy with power, but it takes real strength to protect and nurture. I'd rather be the kind of Jedi who makes the galaxy better, not just stronger. Palpatine's frustration grows with each failed attempt to turn Anakin against his masters. But he's too skilled a manipulator to abandon his efforts entirely. Instead, he changes tactics, focusing on Anakin's relationship with his mother and his fear for her safety. I understand you still worry about your mother on Tatooine, he says during one conversation. It must be difficult, knowing she remains in bondage while you train in comfort on Coruscant. This hits closer to home, and Anakin's expression tightens slightly. It is difficult, he admits. But Master Windu has taught me that acting from emotional impulse rarely leads to the best outcomes. When I'm strong enough and wise enough, I'll return to help her and others like her. But how long will you wait? Palpatine presses. How many years of training do you need before you're ready? Meanwhile, she grows older, more fragile. What if something happens to her while you're perfecting your lightsaber forms? For a moment, Anakin's carefully maintained composure wavers. The fear that has haunted him since leaving Tatooine rises to the surface, and Palpatine senses the opening he's been seeking. I could help you. The Chancellor continues softly. I have resources, connections. We could arrange for your mother's freedom quietly, without the Council ever knowing. It would be our secret. One friend helping another. The offer is tempting, desperately so. But Anakin's training with Mace has prepared him for exactly this kind of internal conflict. Instead of making an impulsive decision, he takes a deep breath and centers himself. Thank you for the offer, Chancellor, he says finally. But I've learned that secrets usually create more problems than they solve. If I'm concerned about my mother's safety, the right thing to do is discuss it with my master and the council. Palpatine masks his disappointment well, but the conversation marks a turning point. The Chancellor begins to realize that Anakin Skywalker may not be as easy to corrupt as he initially believed. That evening, Anakin seeks out Mace in the temple's meditation gardens. The older Jedi is sitting beneath a grove of bantha trees, their broad leaves casting intricate shadow patterns in the moonlight. "Master, I need to talk to you about my mother." Mace opens his eyes and gestures for Anakin to sit beside him. "What about her?" Chancellor Palpatine offered to help arrange her freedom. He said it could be done quietly, without involving the council. Anakin pauses, choosing his words carefully. "Part of me wanted to say yes immediately, but you didn't." "No, something felt wrong about keeping it secret. But Master, I am worried about her. She's not young, and slavery is hard on the body and spirit. What if something happens to her while I'm here training?" Mace is quiet for a long moment, considering both the question and the fact that Anakin came to him instead of accepting Palpatine's offer. "Your concern for your mother shows the depth of your compassion," he says finally. "But let me ask you this. What do you think would serve her better? A rescue mission undertaken in secret by a politician with unknown motives, or one planned and executed by the Jedi Order with all our resources and experience?" "The Jedi," Anakin answers without hesitation. "Then let's discuss the matter with the Council. Your mother's situation is not just a personal matter. It's part of a larger issue the Republic must address. The Outer Rim territories are full of slavery and injustice that we've ignored for too long. The conversation that follows changes everything. Instead of treating Anakin's attachment to his mother as a weakness to be overcome, Mace helps him see it as a source of strength and motivation that can be channeled toward broader justice. The Jedi Code speaks of attachment as dangerous, Mace explains. But there's a difference between healthy love and possessive attachment. Love motivates us to protect and serve others. Attachment makes us willing to sacrifice others for our own desires. How do I know which one I'm feeling? Ask yourself this. If saving your mother required you to ignore the suffering of others, would you do it? If freeing her meant allowing other slaves to remain in bondage, would that be acceptable? Anakin considers this deeply. "No," he says finally. "If I saved her but left others in the same situation, I'd just be making myself feel better without actually solving the problem. Then your love for her is a gift, not a burden. Use it to fuel your determination to become the kind of Jedi who can end slavery altogether, not just rescue one person from it." This conversation leads to one of the most significant missions of the Clone Wars. With the Council's approval, Mace and Anakin begin planning an operation to liberate Tatooine's slave population as part of a broader Republic initiative to combat slavery in the Outer Rim. The mission takes months to plan and involves coordination with Republic intelligence, local resistance groups, and even some of the more progressive Hutt clans who see the economic benefits of transitioning to a wage-based labor system. This is how change really happens, Mace tells Anakin, as they review intelligence reports in their temporary base on Ryloth. Not through grand gestures or emotional outbursts, but through careful planning, building coalitions, and addressing root causes rather than just symptoms. When they finally arrive on Tatooine, it's not as a rescue party for one woman, but as the advance team for a massive humanitarian operation. The mission showcases everything Anakin has learned about channeling his emotions into effective action. The reunion with his mother is emotional but controlled. Shmi Skywalker has aged in the years since her son left, but her eyes still hold the same warmth and strength that shaped his early character. When she sees him in Jedi robes, her pride is evident. "You've grown strong," she says, embracing him. "But more than that, you've grown wise. I can see it in your eyes." "I had good teachers," Anakin replies, glancing at Mace, who is coordinating with clone commanders nearby. "And I had a good foundation from the woman who raised me." The liberation of Tatooine's slaves is accomplished through a combination of military action against the worst offenders and negotiations with more reasonable slavers. Anakin's role in the operation is crucial. His understanding of both the local culture and the psychology of slavery, helping to navigate complex situations. When they encounter Watto, Anakin's former owner, the reunion is tense. The Toydarian is clearly frightened by the presence of Jedi and clone troopers, but Anakin's response surprises everyone. "Watto," he says calmly, "we're here to offer you an opportunity to transition your business to a legal labor model. The Republic is prepared to provide loans and technical assistance to help you adapt. You're not here to arrest me?" Watto asks nervously. "That depends on your choices going forward," Anakin replies. "The past is the past, but the future starts now. What kind of future do you want to build?" It's a moment that perfectly encapsulates Mace's teaching about using power wisely. Anakin could easily intimidate or punish his former owner, but instead, he offers a path to redemption that serves the greater good. The operation succeeds beyond all expectations, freeing thousands of slaves and establishing infrastructure for their transition to freedom. But more importantly for Anakin, it resolves his long-standing anxiety about his mother's safety without requiring him to compromise his Jedi principles. "I'm proud of what you've accomplished," Shmi tells him before they part ways. She's chosen to help coordinate the new refugee services on Tatooine rather than leave the planet. "You've become the man I always knew you could be." "I'm not finished yet," Anakin says. "There's still so much injustice in the galaxy." "And there always will be," she replies with a smile. "But that's why the galaxy needs Jedi like you, people who care enough to keep fighting for what's right." The success of the Tatooine operation enhances Anakin's reputation throughout the Republic, but it also intensifies Palpatine's efforts to corrupt him. The Chancellor's approach becomes more subtle and sophisticated as he realizes that direct appeals to power and revenge won't work. "Your mission to Tatooine was impressive," Palpatine says during their next meeting. "Though I wonder if the Council fully appreciates the personal sacrifice it required of you." "What do you mean?" "Seeing your mother in those conditions, knowing what she's suffered while you trained in safety, that must have been painful." The Council's approach to attachment often seems clinical. They understand it intellectually but not emotionally. It's a clever attack, designed to drive a wedge between Anakin and his masters by suggesting they lack empathy for his struggles. But Mace's training has prepared Anakin for this kind of manipulation as well. "Actually, Master Windu understood exactly what I was feeling," Anakin responds. "He helped me channel my emotions into effective action instead of just suppressing them. The mission succeeded because I was able to think clearly about the best way to help my mother and others like her. But surely there were moments when you wanted to simply take revenge on those who had harmed her. Of course, Anakin admits. But wanting something and acting on it are different things. Master Windu taught me that true strength comes from choosing your actions based on wisdom rather than impulse. Palpatine's smile becomes slightly strained. Such discipline in one so young. Though I wonder if such rigid self-control might not limit your potential in some ways. Discipline isn't limitation, Anakin says, unconsciously quoting one of Mace's fundamental teachings. It's freedom. When you're not controlled by your impulses, you're free to choose the most effective course of action. The conversation continues pleasantly enough, but Palpatine leaves it increasingly frustrated. Every angle of attack he tries meets with responses that reflect deep Jedi training and wisdom beyond Anakin's years. Meanwhile, Anakin's relationship with Padme Amidala continues to develop, but under very different circumstances than in the original timeline. Instead of hiding their feelings and struggling with forbidden love, Anakin approaches the situation with the emotional honesty Mace has taught him. Master, I need to discuss something personal with you, Anakin says after returning from a diplomatic mission to Naboo. Of course. What's on your mind? I think I'm falling in love with Senator Amidala. The directness of the statement catches Mace slightly off guard, but he recovers quickly. In the original timeline, such an admission would have led to lectures about the dangers of attachment. But Mace's approach is different. Tell me about your feelings for her, he says calmly. She's brilliant, compassionate, dedicated to justice. When I'm around her, I want to be a better person. I want to protect not just her, but everyone she's fighting to help. And how do these feelings affect your judgment? When you're on missions with her, do you find yourself putting her safety above the mission objectives? Anakin thinks carefully. No, actually, the opposite. Knowing that she's fighting for the same things I am makes me more determined to succeed. It's like having a partner who shares my values. Mace strokes his chin thoughtfully. The Jedi Code forbids attachment that leads to possessiveness and fear of loss. But what you're describing sounds more like a meeting of minds and hearts. Still, such relationships can be dangerous if not handled carefully. What should I do? Be honest with her about your feelings and honest with yourself about your motivations. If you find that your love for her is making you more compassionate and effective as a Jedi, then perhaps it serves the light. But if it ever makes you willing to compromise your principles or ignore the suffering of others, then you'll know it has become attachment. This guidance leads to a very different dynamic between Anakin and Padme. Instead of a desperate, secret romance born of forbidden passion, their relationship develops slowly and openly, built on mutual respect and shared values. When Anakin finally tells Padme about his feelings, her response is thoughtful rather than immediately reciprocal. I care about you too, Anakin, she says as they walk through the gardens of her Naboo lake house. But a relationship between us would be complicated. You're a Jedi. I'm a senator. We both have duties that might conflict with personal desires. Master Windu taught me that the best relationships are those that make both people stronger and more capable of serving others. Anakin replies, if being together makes us better at our jobs rather than worse, then maybe it's meant to be. Their courtship is patient and careful, with both of them constantly examining their motivations and the effects of their relationship on their effectiveness as public servants. When they finally decide to marry, it's with the knowledge and conditional blessing of Mace Windu, who has observed how their partnership strengthens rather than weakens their commitment to justice. "I will not report this to the council immediately," Mace tells them after they've shared their decision with him, "but I will be watching to ensure that your marriage serves the light side rather than weakening it. If I see signs that your relationship is becoming possessive or causing you to compromise your duties, we will need to address it." The marriage ceremony itself is small and private, but not secretive. A few close friends attend, including Obi-Wan, who has watched Anakin's growth with admiration and pride. "Qui-Gon would be proud," he tells Mace after the ceremony. "The boy has become everything we hoped he could be." "He's become more than that," Mace replies. "He's become someone who uses his power to lift others up rather than dominate them. That's the true mark of a Jedi Master." As the Clone Wars enter their second year, Anakin and Mace are assigned to increasingly critical missions. Their partnership has become legendary among the clone troopers, who speak with genuine affection about the Jedi team that always puts their safety and the protection of civilians first. The Battle of Ryloth showcases their evolved tactics perfectly. Instead of simply overwhelming separatist forces with military might, they coordinate with local resistance fighters to minimize civilian casualties and infrastructure damage. Master. The separatists are using Twi'lek civilians as human shields around their command center. Anakin reports during the battle. "Then we adjust our approach." Mace replies calmly. "What do you suggest?" The resistance leaders know the building's layout. "If we can get a small strike team inside while creating a distraction outside, we can evacuate the civilians before engaging the enemy. Risky, but doable. Take Alpha Squad and coordinate with the resistance. I'll lead the main assault to keep their attention focused outward." The operation succeeds brilliantly, with minimal civilian casualties and the capture of valuable intelligence about separatist operations in the sector. But more importantly, it demonstrates the kind of Jedi leadership that inspires loyalty and admiration rather than fear. "You know what I like about serving under General Skywalker," Clone Captain Rex says to his men after the battle. "He actually cares whether we make it home. Most Jedi see us as expendable assets, but he treats us like people." This reputation for caring about individual lives becomes one of Anakin's greatest strengths as the war progresses. Clone troopers volunteer for his missions, knowing that their lives won't be wasted on poorly planned operations. Civilian populations welcome Republic forces when they know Anakin is leading them. Even enemy forces sometimes surrender rather than face a Jedi known for showing mercy to those who yield. But the war also brings darker challenges. During the siege of Malastare, Anakin witnesses the Republic's use of the electroproton bomb, a weapon that devastates the landscape and kills indiscriminately. His horror at seeing such destruction authorized by his own government tests his faith in the Republic's cause. "How can we claim to be fighting for justice when we use weapons like that?" he asks Mace afterward. "War corrupts everything it touches," Mace replies grimly. "The Republic we're fighting to preserve is not the same Republic we started with. The question becomes whether we can end this conflict before the corruption becomes irreversible. What if we can't? What if winning the war means becoming everything we're supposed to fight against?" It's a profound question, one that gets to the heart of the Clone Wars' moral complexity. Mace's answer reflects years of wrestling with these same doubts. "Then we make sure that when the war ends, there are still people with intact consciences to help the Republic remember what it's supposed to be. We stay true to our principles even when others abandon theirs, because someone has to preserve the ideals worth fighting for. This conversation marks a turning point in Anakin's development. He begins to understand that being a Jedi means more than just being a skilled warrior. It means being a moral anchor in times of chaos and corruption. The understanding becomes crucial when the mission to Zygeria forces Anakin to confront slavery again, this time on a galactic scale. The Zygerian slave empire has been secretly supplying forced labor to the Separatists, and the Republic needs intelligence about their operations. This mission will be especially difficult for you. Mace warns Anakin as they prepare for the undercover operation. You'll have to watch people being bought and sold, possibly even participate in that system to maintain your cover. I can handle it, Anakin says, but Mace can sense the tension beneath his calm exterior. Remember what I taught you about channeling emotion into purpose. Your anger at seeing slavery is valid and necessary, but it must fuel careful action, not impulsive revenge. The mission unfolds exactly as Mace predicted. Seeing beings treated as property awakens all of Anakin's childhood trauma and rage. But his training allows him to maintain his cover while gathering crucial intelligence. When the operation requires him to bid on slaves to maintain his disguise as a wealthy merchant, the experience is almost unbearable. I wanted to kill them all, he confesses to Mace afterward. Every slaver, every buyer, everyone who participated in that obscenity. But you didn't? Mace observes. You did what was necessary to complete the mission and gather the intelligence we needed to shut down their entire operation. Your restraint saved far more lives than violence would have. It doesn't feel like enough. It never does. Justice rarely feels satisfying in the moment, because true justice is about preventing future suffering, not just punishing past wrongs. The intelligence you gathered will help us free thousands of slaves across the galaxy. That matters more than the satisfaction you might have gotten from killing a few slavers. The Zygeria mission leads to one of the Republic's most successful anti-slavery operations, dismantling networks that have operated for centuries. But it also brings Anakin to Palpatine's attention in a new way. As the Chancellor begins to realize that traditional manipulation tactics won't work on this version of Anakin Skywalker. I've been thinking about your experiences on Zygeria, Palpatine says during one of their meetings. Such dedication to ending slavery is admirable, though I wonder if the Jedi Council truly shares your passion for this cause. What do you mean? The Council authorized the mission, yes, but only because it served their war objectives. I doubt they would have acted against the slave trade if it hadn't been connected to the Separatists. It's a subtle attack, designed to make Anakin feel isolated in his moral concerns. But once again, Mace's training provides the foundation for resistance. Actually, Master Windu has been advocating for anti-slavery operations since before the war began, Anakin responds. The Zygeria mission was just one part of a larger strategy he's been developing. I see. And what about the other council members? Do they share his enthusiasm for this cause? Some more than others, Anakin admits, but that's true of any issue. The important thing is that we're making progress, not whether everyone is equally passionate about it. Palpatine shifts tactics again. Still, it must be frustrating to work within such a bureaucratic system. With your power and dedication, you could accomplish so much more if you had the authority to act independently. Independence without wisdom is just chaos, Anakin replies, quoting another of Mace's lessons. I've seen what happens when powerful people act without oversight or accountability. They usually end up causing more harm than good, no matter how pure their intentions start out. The Chancellor's frustration is becoming more apparent with each failed manipulation attempt. His careful plans for corrupting the Chosen One are running up against the unshakable foundation of wisdom and self-awareness that Mace has helped Anakin build. But Palpatine is nothing if not persistent. As the war enters its third year, he begins to take more desperate measures. The manipulation attempts become more sophisticated, involving fabricated intelligence reports, staged crises, and carefully orchestrated situations designed to force Anakin into morally compromising positions. The most serious attempt comes during the Battle of Coruscant itself. As Separatist forces attack the Republic capital, Palpatine stages his own kidnapping in a way calculated to force Anakin into a rescue mission that will isolate him from Mace and other stabilizing influences. The Chancellor has been captured. Obi-Wan reports to the Council as enemy ships fill the skies above Coruscant. Intelligence suggests he's being held aboard the Separatist flagship. A rescue mission will be extremely dangerous, Mace observes. The entire Separatist fleet is protecting that ship. All the more reason to move quickly, Obi-Wan argues. If we delay, they might execute him or escape to the Outer Rim. Anakin listens to the debate with growing unease. Something about the situation feels wrong, though he can't quite identify what. Master, he says to Mace privately after the meeting, I'm sensing deception around this whole situation. Not from our people, but from somewhere else. Explain. The timing is too convenient. The Separatists have never shown interest in taking prisoners before. They usually prefer martyrs to hostages, and the intelligence about the Chancellor's location came through channels that haven't been reliable in the past. Mace nods thoughtfully. Your instincts have been accurate before. What do you think is really happening? I think this might be a trap, though I'm not sure for whom. Maybe they're trying to lure our best fighters away from defending the planet. Or maybe they want to capture or kill specific Jedi. Then we proceed with extreme caution. We'll mount the rescue mission as planned, but with additional safeguards and contingency plans. The mission to rescue Palpatine unfolds very differently with Anakin's warning and Mace's careful planning. Instead of rushing headlong into the Separatist trap, the Jedi approach with a fully coordinated strategy that anticipates deception. When they board the enemy flagship and find the Chancellor apparently unconscious and helpless, Anakin's danger sense is screaming warnings. The setup is too perfect, too convenient. Something's wrong here, he murmurs to Obi-Wan as they prepare to extract Palpatine. What do you mean? Look around. Where are the guards? Why is the most important prisoner in the galaxy being held in a room with minimal security? It's like they wanted us to find him. Their caution proves justified when the rescue turns into an ambush. But instead of being caught off guard, the Jedi are ready for treachery. The battle that follows is intense but controlled, with Anakin and Obi-Wan working together to extract not just Palpatine, but several other prisoners the Separatists had intended to use as leverage. During the fighting, Count Dooku appears for what should be a climactic duel. But this Anakin approaches the confrontation very differently than his canon counterpart. Count Dooku, Anakin says calmly as the Sith Lord ignites his lightsaber. You're under arrest for crimes against the Republic. Such confidence from one so young. Dooku sneers. Your arrogance will be your downfall, not arrogance. Anakin corrects as he draws his own weapon. Preparation. The duel that follows showcases everything Anakin has learned about channeling emotion into effective action. His fighting style is aggressive but controlled, each strike purposeful rather than wild. When Dooku attempts to use fear and anger to cloud his judgment, Anakin's response is calm awareness, rather than reactive fury. I can feel your hatred, Dooku taunts during a lull in the combat. Let it flow through you. Use it to gain strength. I do feel anger, Anakin admits, his lightsaber never wavering. Anger at the suffering this war has caused, at the lives you've destroyed, at the corruption you represent. But my anger serves justice, not vengeance. The philosophical difference manifests in their fighting styles. Dooku's technique is precise but brittle, powered by cold calculation and dark emotions. Anakin's is fluid and adaptable, drawing strength from his connection to all living things, rather than his desire to dominate them. When the duel ends with Dooku defeated but alive, Anakin's choice reflects his training perfectly. Instead of executing the fallen Sith Lord, he takes him prisoner, knowing that a living enemy can provide valuable intelligence, while a dead one cannot. You should have killed me when you had the chance. Dooku gasps as Anakin places force, suppressing restraints on him. Maybe, Anakin replies calmly. But I'm not you. I don't kill helpless enemies, no matter what they've done. The capture of Count Dooku alive proves to be a turning point in the war. Under interrogation, the former Jedi reveals details about the Sith plot that might never have been discovered otherwise. More importantly for Anakin, it demonstrates the power of restraint and wisdom over vengeance and passion. But Palpatine's most dangerous manipulation is yet to come. Having failed to corrupt Anakin through appeals to power, revenge, or emotional attachment, the Chancellor plays his final card, the promise of knowledge that could save Padmé's life. The opportunity arises when Padmé's pregnancy becomes known to Palpatine. Through his network of informants, the Chancellor carefully orchestrates a meeting where he can sense Anakin's joy about the pregnancy mixed with underlying fear. Congratulations on your wife's pregnancy, Palpatine says during what appears to be a routine briefing. Such wonderful news in these dark times. Thank you, Chancellor, Anakin replies, though Mace's training makes him immediately suspicious of how Palpatine learned about the pregnancy so quickly. I hope everything goes smoothly with the birth. Medical complications during childbirth can be so unpredictable, even with the best care available. The comment seems innocent enough, but something in Palpatine's tone makes Anakin's danger sense activate. Is there something specific you're concerned about? Oh, nothing specific, Palpatine says with false casualness. It's just that I've heard stories about Force-sensitive children. Sometimes their power can complicate the birthing process in unexpected ways. Ancient texts speak of such difficulties. It's a masterful manipulation, planting seeds of fear without making any specific claims. But once again, Mace's training provides Anakin with the tools to recognize and resist the attempt. What ancient texts? Anakin asks directly. Palpatine pauses slightly, caught off guard by the directness of the question. Various historical records. Nothing you would have access to in the Jedi archives. Interesting. Master Windu has been teaching me about the importance of verifying sources when dealing with ancient knowledge. He says that fear-based information is often unreliable because it's designed to manipulate rather than inform. The conversation continues. But Palpatine realizes he's dealing with a very different Anakin than he expected. This young man has been inoculated against manipulation through years of training in critical thinking and emotional intelligence. That evening, Anakin discusses the conversation with both Mace and Padme, approaching his concerns with the openness and honesty that have become his hallmarks. The Chancellor seemed to be trying to make me worried about the pregnancy, he tells them. He mentioned ancient texts about complications with Force, sensitive births, but he couldn't provide specifics when I asked. "And how did that make you feel?" Mace inquires. "Suspicious," Anakin says immediately. If he had legitimate medical concerns, he would have directed me to specific sources or recommended consulting with medical experts. Instead, he just planted vague fears. Padme squeezes his hand supportively. "I'm proud of you for recognizing the manipulation. A few years ago, you might have panicked and demanded that he share whatever knowledge he claimed to have. A few years ago, I didn't understand how fear-based manipulation works." Anakin agrees. "Master Windu taught me that people who want to help you provide specific, actionable information. People who want to control you traffic in vague fears and impossible promises." This conversation leads to a comprehensive medical evaluation for Padme, conducted by the best healers in the Jedi Temple, working alongside Republic medical experts. The evaluation finds no signs of complications, and the pregnancy proceeds normally under careful monitoring. More importantly, the incident confirms Mace and Anakin's growing suspicions about Palpatine's true nature. The Chancellor's attempts to manipulate Anakin have become too frequent and too sophisticated to be coincidental. He's not just a politician trying to cultivate useful relationships, Mace concludes after reviewing the pattern of Palpatine's behavior. This level of psychological manipulation suggests someone with specific training in such techniques. "Sith training?" Anakin asks. "Possibly. Or at least someone working with the Sith. We need to investigate more carefully, but discreetly." The investigation that follows unfolds over several months, with Mace and Anakin working with trusted allies to gather evidence of Palpatine's true allegiances. Unlike the rushed confrontation of the original timeline, this investigation is methodical and thorough. They discover financial connections between Palpatine and separatist interests, communication patterns that suggest foreknowledge of enemy operations, and political maneuvering that consistently benefits from the continuation of the war. The evidence is circumstantial but compelling. Mace reports to a secret meeting of the Council's inner circle. The Chancellor appears to be playing both sides of this conflict for his own benefit. But we need absolute proof before we can act, Yoda cautions. Accusations against the Supreme Executive require evidence beyond doubt. The proof comes when Anakin's investigation into the ancient texts Palpatine mentioned leads him to a Sith holocron hidden in the Chancellor's private office. Using techniques Mace taught him for sensing deception and hidden emotions, Anakin is able to locate the holocron during what appears to be a routine meeting. "Chancellor," Anakin says carefully, "I've been researching those ancient texts you mentioned about Force-sensitive births. Could you be more specific about where I might find them?" "Oh, those were probably just rumors," Palpatine deflects. Nothing worth pursuing. But as he speaks, Anakin senses a spike of anxiety and feels the presence of something deeply steeped in the dark side, somewhere nearby. His careful scan of the room eventually locates the source, a hidden compartment behind one of Palpatine's award displays. Actually, I think I'd like to research them anyway. Anakin presses. Historical knowledge fascinates me. In fact, I'm sensing that you might have some ancient artifacts in this very room. Palpatine's mask slips for just a moment, long enough for Anakin to see the flash of panic in his eyes. It's all the confirmation he needs. The confrontation that follows is swift and decisive. With solid evidence of Palpatine's Sith connections and the backing of the full Jedi Council, Mace and Anakin arrest the Chancellor without the dramatic lightsaber duel that characterized the original timeline. "It's over, Palpatine," Mace says as clone troopers surround the Chancellor's office. "We know what you are, and we have evidence of your crimes against the Republic." Palpatine's transformation from kindly grandfather figure to Sith Lord is jarring, but it doesn't catch the Jedi off guard. They're prepared for his lightning, his manipulation attempts, even his political connections. "You think you've won?" Palpatine snarls as force, suppressing restraints are placed on him. "I've been planning this for decades. My allies control the Senate, the military. The very foundations of this republic had allies," Anakin corrects calmly. "Most of them will abandon you once your true nature becomes public knowledge. Politicians rarely maintain loyalty to exposed criminals." The aftermath of Palpatine's arrest unfolds very differently from the original timeline. Without Order 66 to decimate the Jedi, without Anakin's fall to create Darth Vader, the Republic survives and begins the long process of healing from the Clone Wars. The war itself ends within months of Palpatine's arrest. As the Separatist leadership loses their hidden patron, and many of their member worlds begin negotiating for reunification with the Republic. Anakin and Padme's children, Luke and Leia, are born into a galaxy at peace. They grow up knowing their father as a hero rather than a villain, their mother as a respected senator rather than a tragic victim. "What kind of galaxy do you think they'll inherit?" Padme asks Anakin, as they watch their toddler twins playing in the temple gardens. "A better one than we did," Anakin replies confidently. "Not perfect, but one where people like Palpatine can't manipulate entire governments from the shadows." As the years pass, Anakin's reputation as both warrior and peacemaker grows throughout the galaxy. His approach to conflict resolution, learned from Mace's teachings about channeling emotion into wisdom, becomes a model for other Jedi to follow. During the Reconstruction period following the Clone Wars, Anakin finds himself assigned to increasingly complex diplomatic missions. The liberation of worlds that had been under Separatist control requires delicate negotiations between former enemies, and Anakin's ability to understand and work with strong emotions makes him uniquely suited for such work. On Ryloth, he mediates between Twi'lek clans who had fought on opposite sides of the war. The meetings are tense, with generations of grievances threatening to boil over into violence. "You ask us to forgive those who sold our children to slavers," one clan leader says bitterly. "How can there be peace without justice?" "I'm not asking you to forgive," Anakin replies calmly. "I'm asking you to choose what kind of future you want to build. Revenge feels satisfying in the moment, but it doesn't heal wounds or rebuild homes. Justice does." "And what would you know about our suffering?" another leader challenges. "You're a Jedi, protected by your order and your republic. You've never known true oppression." Anakin could deflect the challenge or appeal to his authority as a Republic representative. Instead, he chooses vulnerability, something Mace taught him could be more powerful than any show of force. You're right that I've never experienced exactly what your people have suffered, he says quietly. But I was born a slave on Tatooine. I know what it feels like to be property, to watch your mother work to exhaustion while knowing you're powerless to help her. The room falls silent as he continues. When I became a Jedi, I could have spent my energy seeking revenge against every slaver and trader who profited from that system. Instead, I chose to focus on making sure fewer children would grow up the way I did. That choice led to operations that freed thousands of slaves across the Outer Rim. He looks around the room, meeting each leader's eyes. Your anger is justified. Your pain is real. But if you spend all your energy fighting each other, who's going to rebuild Ryloth? Who's going to make sure your children have something better than endless cycles of revenge? The negotiations continue for days, but Anakin's willingness to share his own painful past creates a foundation of trust that eventually leads to a lasting peace agreement. More importantly, it establishes principles for reconstruction that prioritize healing and rebuilding over punishment and retribution. You've grown wise, Mace observes when Anakin reports on the mission's success. You're learning to use your personal experiences as tools for understanding others rather than weights that hold you back. It still hurts to think about those years, Anakin admits. But the pain serves a purpose now. It helps me connect with people who are suffering in ways that other Jedi might not understand. That's the difference between being wounded and being wise, Mace replies. Wisdom transforms our pain into compassion for others. Wounds that haven't healed just make us bitter. As Anakin's reputation grows, so does his influence within the Jedi Order itself. The success of Mace's unconventional training methods has sparked discussions about reforming traditional Jedi education. Younger masters begin incorporating emotional awareness training into their teaching, while older masters debate whether such changes represent evolution or dangerous deviation from proven methods. The boy's success is undeniable. Ki Adi Mundi concedes during one council meeting. But can his approach be replicated with other students? Perhaps his results stem from his unique power rather than the training methods themselves. Power without wisdom is destruction, Yoda observes, tapping his Heimer stick thoughtfully. But wisdom Skywalker has gained. Teach this to others. Perhaps we should try. The debate culminates in the establishment of a pilot program where experienced masters work with Mace to develop new curriculum, incorporating emotional intelligence training. Anakin himself becomes involved in teaching some classes, sharing techniques for self-awareness and emotional regulation with Padawan learners. The Force flows through all living things, he tells a group of young students during one lesson. But living things have emotions, fears, desires, and dreams. Pretending those don't exist doesn't make you more connected to the Force. It makes you disconnected from the part of the Force that flows through you. One young Padawan raises her hand tentatively. But Master Skywalker, won't feeling emotions make us more likely to fall to the dark side? Only if you don't understand them, Anakin replies. Fear becomes dangerous when you let it control your actions without examining whether that fear is rational or helpful. Anger becomes dangerous when you use it to justify hurting others instead of motivating yourself to protect them. He activates his lightsaber, the blue blade humming to life. When I ignite this weapon, I feel the weight of every life it might take, every conflict it might end, every person it might protect. Those feelings don't make me weak, they make me careful. They remind me that power exists to serve others, not to serve myself. The teaching becomes one of Anakin's greatest sources of satisfaction. Watching young Jedi learn to navigate their emotions with wisdom rather than suppression feels like a vindication of everything Mace taught him. But the real test of the new approach comes when one of Anakin's students faces a crisis similar to what he experienced in his youth. Padawan Kira Valen discovers that her homeworld is under attack by pirates, and her family is in danger. The traditional Jedi response would be to counsel detachment and acceptance of what cannot be controlled. Instead, Anakin helps her examine her feelings and develop a plan that serves both her emotional needs and her Jedi duties. "I have to help them," she says desperately. "I can't just meditate while my family is in danger." "No one's asking you to," Anakin replies calmly. "But let's think about this carefully. What would help your family most? An impulsive rescue attempt by one Padawan, or a well-planned operation by trained professionals? But what if there isn't time for a well-planned operation? Then we make time by taking the right first steps. You're not abandoning your family by consulting with your masters and developing a proper strategy. You're making sure that when you do act, your actions will be effective." The mission that follows showcases the new approach perfectly. Instead of struggling alone with divided loyalties, Kira works with her masters to plan an operation that serves both her personal concerns and the Republic's broader security interests. The pirates threatening her homeworld are part of a larger network that the Republic has been trying to dismantle for months. Personal motivation can enhance professional effectiveness when channeled properly, Mace observes as they plan the mission. Kira's emotional investment in this operation makes her more determined to succeed, not less capable of thinking clearly. The operation succeeds brilliantly, not only saving Kira's family, but dismantling the entire pirate network. More importantly, it demonstrates that Jedi can serve both their personal values and their professional duties without compromising either. Word of these successes reaches the broader galactic community, where Anakin's reputation continues to grow. He becomes known not just as a powerful warrior, but as a leader who can bridge divides and heal old wounds. This reputation leads to his involvement in some of the most challenging diplomatic missions of the post-war era. The crisis on Mandalore tests all of Anakin's skills as both warrior and peacemaker. The planet is still recovering from the devastation of the Clone Wars, and tensions between different factions threaten to explode into civil war. Duchess Satine's pacifist government is being challenged by traditional warriors who believe that strength alone can restore Mandalore's honor. "The Duchess is weak," declares Pre Vizsla during a tense meeting in Sundari's throne room. "She preaches peace while our enemies grow strong. Mandalore needs warriors, not diplomats." "And what has warrior culture brought Mandalore recently?" Anakin asks calmly. "Centuries of civil war, devastation during the Clone Wars, and a reputation as mercenaries rather than protectors. Perhaps it's time to try a different approach." Easy words from an outsider. Vizsla sneers. "You know nothing of Mandalorian honor." "I know something about being trapped by tradition," Anakin replies. "I was raised in a system where might made right, where the strong dominated the weak without question. It took wise teachers to show me that real strength comes from protecting others, not dominating them." The negotiations continue for weeks, with Anakin slowly building bridges between the various factions. His approach combines respect for Mandalorian culture with practical solutions to their real problems. "You want to restore Mandalore's honor?" he asks during one session. "Then become the protectors you were meant to be. The galaxy is full of worlds that need defending from pirates, slavers, and criminals. Form a new kind of warrior order, one that serves justice rather than just power." The proposal resonates with many Mandalorians who have grown tired of endless internal conflicts. Over time, Anakin helps facilitate the creation of a reformed Mandalorian organization that combines their warrior traditions with peacekeeping missions throughout the Outer Rim. "You've given us something to fight for again," Bo-Katan tells him as the accords are signed. "Not each other, but something worthy of our strength." These diplomatic successes establish Anakin as one of the Republic's most valuable mediators. But they also attract attention from forces that preferred the galaxy's previous chaos. Criminal organizations, corrupt officials, and remnants of separatist leadership begin to see him as a threat to their operations. The first serious attempt on his life comes during a peace conference on Nal Hutta. Assassins attack during what should have been a routine negotiation session, forcing Anakin to defend not only himself, but also the various diplomats and representatives present. The attack showcases how much his combat skills have evolved under Mace's tutelage. Instead of the aggressive, overwhelming assault that might have characterized his younger self, Anakin's response is measured and precise. He neutralizes threats quickly while minimizing harm to bystanders and even showing mercy to attackers who surrender. "Impressive," comments Jabba the Hutt after the threat is contained. "You fight like a Mandalorian, but think like a diplomat. Most unusual combination." "Violence should always be the last resort," Anakin replies, as he deactivates his lightsaber. "But when it becomes necessary, it should be swift and decisive to minimize overall suffering." The investigation into the assassination attempt reveals connections to a broader conspiracy involving former separatist leaders and criminal syndicates. This discovery leads to one of Anakin's most challenging missions, infiltrating a gathering of these conspirators to gather intelligence about their plans. "This is extremely dangerous," Mace warns as they plan the operation. "These people have every reason to want you dead, and you'll be operating without backup in hostile territory." "I understand the risks," Anakin replies, "but if we don't stop this conspiracy now, it could destabilize everything we've worked to build." "Remember your training," Mace says as they prepare to part ways. "Channel your emotions into awareness, not action. Your goal is information, not confrontation." The infiltration mission takes Anakin deep into the criminal underworld of the Outer Rim, where he adopts the identity of a disillusioned former Republic officer interested in joining the conspiracy. The role requires him to suppress his natural instincts for justice while gathering evidence of the group's plans. "The Republic thinks it's won," says one of the conspiracy's leaders during a planning session. "But we have allies they don't know about. When we strike, their precious peace will crumble." Anakin maintains his cover while carefully memorizing every detail of their operation. The conspirators plan to attack key infrastructure across multiple worlds simultaneously, creating chaos that will allow them to seize control of several strategic systems. "And what of the Jedi?" asks another conspirator. "They've become more effective since the war ended. Skywalker especially has been interfering with our operations." "Skywalker will be dealt with," the leader replies coldly. "We have plans for him specifically." The revelation that he's a specific target adds urgency to Anakin's mission. but it also provides valuable intelligence about the conspiracy's priorities and capabilities. He continues gathering information for several more days before extracting safely with evidence that allows Republic forces to prevent the planned attacks. Excellent work. Admiral Yularen congratulates him after the successful operation. Your intelligence allowed us to protect millions of civilians who would have been caught in those attacks. It's what any Jedi would have done. Anakin deflects, but privately, he feels deep satisfaction at having prevented such massive suffering. The conspiracy's defeat further enhances Anakin's reputation, but it also marks a new phase in his career. As his children grow older and the galaxy becomes more stable, he begins to transition from active fieldwork to training the next generation of Jedi. Luke and Leia, now 5 years old, show clear signs of Force sensitivity, but their upbringing is very different from traditional Jedi training. Instead of being separated from their parents, they grow up in a loving home, while gradually learning to understand their abilities. "Are we going to be Jedi like Daddy?" Leia asks one evening as the family gathers for dinner. "That depends on what you want to be," Padme replies gently. "Being Force sensitive gives you certain abilities, but what you do with those abilities is your choice. The Force is a gift," Anakin adds. "But like any gift, it comes with responsibility. If you choose to become Jedi, it means dedicating your life to protecting others and serving justice." "What if we don't want to be Jedi?" Luke asks seriously. "Then you'll find other ways to make the galaxy better," Anakin says without hesitation. "There are many paths to service, and the Force will guide you to the one that's right for you." This approach to Force-sensitive children becomes another area where Anakin's influence shapes Jedi practice. Instead of automatically recruiting all Force-sensitive individuals, the Order begins to offer more flexible arrangements that allow children to maintain family connections while receiving appropriate training. Attachment was never the real danger, Anakin explains to the Council during discussions about these policy changes. The danger was possessiveness, the inability to accept loss or change. Children who grow up in loving families actually develop better emotional regulation than those who are isolated from emotional connections. Risky this path may be, Yoda acknowledges, but shown success, your own training has. Try new approaches. Perhaps we should. The policy changes prove successful, producing a generation of Jedi who are more emotionally stable and better able to relate to the non-Force sensitive population they serve. These Jedi maintain connections to their families and communities while still dedicating themselves to the Order's mission. As Anakin approaches his 30th birthday, he faces a decision that will define the next phase of his career. The Jedi Council offers him a position as a full master, with the opportunity to take a seat on the Council itself. Your contributions to the Order and the Republic have been extraordinary, Mace tells him during the formal offer. You've helped develop new training methods, prevented wars, and inspired a generation of young Jedi. The Council believes you're ready for greater responsibility. I'm honored by the offer, Anakin replies thoughtfully. But I want to make sure I accept for the right reasons. What would my responsibilities be as a council member? Primarily policy development and strategic planning. Mace explains. Less fieldwork, more teaching, and administration. You'd help shape the future direction of the Jedi Order. Anakin considers this carefully. The prospect of influencing Jedi policy appeals to him, especially given his success with developing new training methods. But he also values his current work as a mediator and negotiator. Could I maintain some field assignments? I don't want to lose touch with the practical challenges our Jedi face. Arrangements could be made. Mace agrees. Your field experience is part of what makes you valuable as a council member. After discussing the offer with Padme and taking time for meditation and reflection, Anakin accepts the position. His elevation to the council is met with celebration throughout the Order and approval from the broader galactic community. Master Skywalker's appointment represents the future of the Jedi, comments Senator Organa during the public announcement. A leader who combines power with wisdom, tradition with innovation. Anakin's first major initiative as a council member focuses on improving coordination between the Jedi Order and local governments. Too often, Jedi operations have proceeded without sufficient consultation with planetary authorities, creating friction and misunderstandings. We serve the Republic and its citizens, he argues during council sessions. But we can't serve them effectively if we don't understand their specific needs and concerns. The initiative leads to the establishment of liaison programs that embed Jedi advisors with planetary governments, improving communication and ensuring that Jedi operations align with local priorities. This approach has reduced conflicts by 70%, reports Master T after the first year of the program. Local authorities are more willing to cooperate when they feel heard and respected. But Anakin's most significant contribution as a council member comes when the galaxy faces a new threat, not from external enemies, but from internal corruption and extremism. A movement called the Human Supremacy League begins gaining support in some core worlds, advocating for policies that would marginalize non-human species. This is exactly the kind of thinking that led to the Clone Wars. Anakin warns the Council as intelligence reports detail the League's growing influence. They're using fear and prejudice to build political power, just like Palpatine did. But they operate within legal boundaries, Ki-Adi-Mundi points out. We cannot simply arrest people for their political beliefs, no matter how distasteful we find them. No. But we can expose the truth about their agenda and help people make informed decisions, Anakin argues. And we can protect the communities they're targeting. The campaign against the Human Supremacy League becomes one of Anakin's most complex challenges. It requires balancing respect for democratic processes with the need to protect vulnerable populations. The solution comes through education, investigation, and strategic alliance building. Working with investigative journalists and sympathetic politicians, Anakin helps expose the League's connections to criminal organizations and foreign interests. The revelations show that many of the League's leaders are motivated more by personal profit than ideological conviction. When people understand that they're being manipulated for someone else's gain, they usually make better choices, Anakin explains to the media after the League's support collapses. Fear and hatred are powerful tools, but truth is more powerful in the long run. The success against the Human Supremacy League establishes Anakin as one of the Republic's most trusted defenders of democracy and civil rights. His approach, combining investigation with education and community organizing, becomes a model for dealing with extremist movements. As his influence grows, so does his role in training the next generation of Jedi leaders. The Academy program he developed with Mace has produced dozens of successful Jedi who are now taking on leadership roles throughout the galaxy. Master Skywalker's students are different, observes Master Shak Ti during a council meeting. They're more confident, more emotionally stable, and better able to work with non-Jedi partners. The difference is that they've learned to see their emotions as information rather than obstacles. Anakin explains, "When you understand what you're feeling and why, you can make better decisions about how to act." One of his most successful students, former Padawan Kira Valen, has become a master herself and now leads peace-building efforts in the Mid-Rim. Her approach, learned from Anakin, combines traditional Jedi techniques with modern conflict resolution methods. Master Skywalker taught me that being a Jedi means more than just wielding a lightsaber, she tells a gathering of new Padawans. It means understanding people, building bridges, and finding solutions that serve everyone's needs. As Anakin's 40th birthday approaches, he reflects on how different his life has become from what anyone might have predicted when he was discovered as a slave boy on Tatooine. His marriage to Padme remains strong, built on mutual respect and shared values, rather than desperate attachment. Their children are thriving, growing into confident young people who understand both their abilities and their responsibilities. Luke has chosen to follow the Jedi path, but with a focus on exploration and discovery rather than combat. His natural curiosity and technical aptitude make him ideal for missions that require both Force sensitivity and scientific knowledge. Leia has chosen a different path, following her mother into politics and diplomacy. Her Force abilities enhance her already formidable skills as a negotiator and leader, but she applies them in the political arena rather than as a Jedi. "I'm proud of both of them," Anakin tells Padme, as they watch their teenage children pursuing their chosen paths. They're finding ways to serve that match their interests and talents. "They learn that from you," Padme replies warmly. "You showed them that there are many ways to make a difference, and that the most important thing is to stay true to your values." The galaxy they're growing up in bears little resemblance to the one Anakin knew as a child. Slavery has been largely eliminated through sustained Republic efforts. The criminal syndicates that once operated with impunity have been dismantled or driven into hiding. Democratic institutions have been strengthened against the kind of manipulation that allowed Palpatine to seize power. "We've built something worth preserving," Mace observes during one of their regular conversations. "Not perfect, but far better than what existed before." "The next generation will build something even better," Anakin replies confidently. "They're starting with advantages we never had, growing up in peace instead of war, with wisdom instead of just power." As his career continues to evolve, Anakin finds himself increasingly involved in long-term strategic planning for the Republic and the Jedi Order. The immediate crises that defined his younger years have been resolved, but new challenges emerge as the galaxy becomes more interconnected and complex. One of his most ambitious projects involves establishing a network of peacekeeping academies throughout the galaxy, training not just Jedi but also civilian mediators, investigators, and community organizers. The goal is to create a comprehensive system for preventing conflicts before they escalate to violence. "Prevention is always more effective than reaction," he explains to the Senate committee overseeing the project. By the time conflicts require military intervention, enormous damage has already been done. But if we can identify and address problems early, we can save countless lives and resources. The Academy network becomes one of the Republic's most successful initiatives, dramatically reducing the frequency and severity of conflicts throughout the galaxy. Students from dozens of species and hundreds of worlds learn techniques for understanding different perspectives, mediating disputes, and building sustainable peace. Master Skywalker's vision has transformed how we think about security, comments Chancellor Mon Mothma during the project's 5th anniversary celebration. Instead of just preparing for war, we're actively building the conditions for peace. But perhaps Anakin's greatest legacy lies in how he has transformed the Jedi Order itself. The emotional intelligence training he pioneered has become standard curriculum, producing Jedi who are more effective and more trusted by the populations they serve. The Order is stronger now than it has been in centuries, Yoda observes during his final council meeting before retiring. Not because our Jedi are more powerful, but because they are more wise. As Yoda steps down from active leadership, Anakin finds himself nominated for the position of Grand Master. The prospect is both humbling and daunting, representing the culmination of a journey that began in the slave quarters of Tatooine. The Order needs someone who understands both tradition and change, Mace argues during the Council's deliberations. Anakin has proven that he can honor our history while adapting to new challenges, but he's still relatively young for such responsibility, cautions Ki Adi-Mundi. Leading the Order requires not just wisdom, but also the respect of Jedi who have served for centuries. Respect is earned through action, not age, Obi-Wan counters. And Anakin's actions speak for themselves. The vote, when it comes, is unanimous. Even those who initially harbored doubts about his unconventional background recognize that Anakin represents the future the Order needs to embrace. I accept this responsibility with humility and determination, Anakin says during his installation ceremony. The Jedi Order exists to serve others, and as Grand Master, my role is to help every Jedi fulfill that mission as effectively as possible. His first address to the assembled Jedi sets the tone for his leadership. We are guardians of peace, but peace is not simply the absence of conflict. True peace requires justice, understanding, and the courage to stand up for those who cannot protect themselves. We are servants of the Force, but the Force flows through all living things, including our emotions, our relationships, and our connections to others. The path of the Jedi is not about suppressing our humanity, but about expressing it in its highest form. We feel deeply because we care deeply. We struggle with difficult choices because we understand the weight of our decisions. We form bonds with others because isolation leads to ignorance, and ignorance leads to fear. As we move forward, we will continue to evolve and adapt, always guided by our core mission of serving others and protecting the innocent. We will train Jedi who are not just powerful, but wise, not just skilled in combat, but capable of preventing the need for combat, not just detached from the world, but deeply connected to all life within it. The years that follow validate Anakin's vision for the Order. Jedi-involved conflicts continue to decrease as the focus shifts from reactive interventions to proactive peace-building. The Order's relationship with civilian populations improves as Jedi become more integrated with the communities they serve. The galaxy is more peaceful now than it has been in over 1,000 years, Admiral Yularen reports during a security briefing. Not because we have more weapons or stronger defenses, but because we have fewer reasons to use them. Looking back on the path that brought him to this position, Anakin often reflects on how different things might have been if Mace Windu had not stepped forward to train him after Qui-Gon's death. The stern Jedi Master, who seemed so intimidating to a 9-year-old boy, became the father figure and mentor who shaped him into the leader he ultimately became. "You taught me that strength without wisdom is tyranny," he tells Mace during one of their regular conversations. "That power exists to serve others, not to serve ourselves. That our emotions can be tools for justice if we learn to understand and direct them properly." "You taught yourself those things?" Mace replies with characteristic directness. "I simply provided the framework. The wisdom was always within you, waiting for the right circumstances to emerge." "Perhaps," Anakin acknowledges, "but without your guidance, that wisdom might have been overwhelmed by anger, fear, and the desire for revenge. You showed me a better path." As Anakin enters his 50s, he begins to prepare for his own eventual retirement from active leadership. The next generation of Jedi, trained in the methods he and Mace developed, are ready to take on greater responsibilities. Luke has become a master himself, specializing in archaeological expeditions that uncover lost Jedi knowledge while respecting the cultures and environments where such knowledge is found. Leia has risen to become Supreme Chancellor of the Republic, bringing Force-enhanced intuition and empathy to political leadership. "They've both exceeded my expectations," Anakin tells Padme as they watch their adult children pursuing their respective missions. "Not because of their power, but because of their character." "They learned character from watching you," Padme replies. "You showed them that true strength comes from service, that real power is used to lift others up, and that the most important victories are won without violence." The galaxy their children are inheriting is fundamentally different from the one Anakin grew up in. Slavery is extinct. Democracy is protected by institutions designed to prevent authoritarian manipulation. The Jedi Order serves as healers and peacekeepers rather than warriors. Criminal organizations operate in the shadows because they cannot survive in the light of transparent governance. "We've built something extraordinary," Anakin reflects during his final address as Grand Master. "Not a perfect galaxy, but one where justice is possible, where peace is preserved through wisdom rather than force, and where the next generation can dream of even greater achievements. The path we've walked together has proven that change is possible, that individuals can rise above their circumstances, and that the right training and guidance can help anyone achieve their potential. Most importantly, we've learned that the Force flows through all of us, connecting us in ways that transcend species, politics, and personal ambition. As I step down from this position, I do so with confidence that the Order and the Republic are in capable hands. The Jedi who follow us understand both the power they wield and the responsibility that comes with it. They are prepared to face whatever challenges the future may bring. The ceremony marking Anakin's transition from Grand Master to Elder Council member is attended by representatives from across the galaxy. Former enemies speak alongside old allies about the transformation he helped bring about. "Master Skywalker showed us that there was another way," says Bo-Katan, now the respected leader of Mandalore's peacekeeping forces. Instead of demanding submission, he offered partnership. Instead of imposing solutions, he helped us find our own. He understood that lasting peace requires healing old wounds, not just ending current conflicts, adds a representative from Ryloth. His approach to diplomacy honored both justice and mercy. As the ceremony concludes, and the assembled dignitaries disperse to their various worlds, Anakin finds himself alone with Mace in the temple gardens, where his training began so many years ago. Any regrets? Mace asks as they sit beneath the same bantha trees, where they once discussed fear, anger, and the nature of attachment. None. Anakin replies without hesitation. Every choice, every challenge, every moment of doubt led to something worthwhile. Even the difficult times taught me something important. And what's next for the legendary Anakin Skywalker? Anakin laughs softly. More teaching, I think. There are always young Jedi who need guidance. Always new challenges that require experience to navigate. And I want to spend time with my grandchildren, watching them discover their own paths. Sounds like a good retirement plan. Mace observes with rare humor as the twin suns of Coruscant set behind the cityscape, casting long shadows through the garden. Anakin reflects on the journey that brought him from slavery to leadership, from anger to wisdom, from isolation to connection. The boy who once dreamed of being the strongest, the fastest, the most powerful, has learned that true strength lies in empowering others. The young man who feared loss above all else has discovered that love shared freely creates more connections than love hoarded protectively. The Jedi who once struggled with the Order's restrictions has become the architect of its renewal. Thank you, he says quietly to Mace, for taking the risk of training someone everyone else saw as too dangerous, for believing in the possibility of balance when others only saw the threat of darkness, for showing me that being different could be a strength rather than a liability. Thank you, Mace replies equally quietly, for proving that an old master can still learn new things. Your journey has been as instructive for me as I hope mine was for you. As night falls over the Jedi Temple and the galaxy settles into another peaceful evening, the story of Anakin Skywalker stands as proof that with the right guidance, even the most troubled students can become the greatest teachers, and that the path to wisdom often lies not in avoiding our emotions, but in learning to channel them toward justice, compassion, and service to others. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.